Disclaimer. This is a work of satirical fiction. Any resemblance to real places or situations is purely coincidental and exaggerated for comedic effect. The story intentionally contains factual inaccuracies and absurdities as part of its artistic expression.
Shot down and he was barely 31. Another woke coward took a life with a gun. He left behind a wife and a daughter and a son. All he did was try to speak for all of us. And I'm so tired of the hatred and the narratives. The patriots ain't dangerous, woke people are the terrorists. They shot and killed the father, sent a message to Americans. They ain't gonna stop until they bury us. Dear Charlie, I don't know if you can see us now, but if heaven has a window, I sure hope you're looking down. Cause we ain't going quiet, we gon' scream your name loud. And you're gone, but I swear to God that we gon' make you proud. We ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties. And you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men try to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us, but good men die for the things that they say. And I can't just be quiet, so I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day. Killed in cold blood for having a discussion, and liberals are celebrating.
Yeah, now we're in Mykonos, Greece, which my family absolutely loves. My daughter is having the time of her life, and everyone really loves it. It's actually been really nice here. But I'm recording this on September 11th, and of course I kind of have to. Well, I don't have to. You don't have to do anything, but if I want to even keep up with everything going on, I'd actually mentioned 1 or 2 videos ago that I expected something pretty big for September 11th. I didn't really know exactly why, but I just had that feeling. And I think part of me was like, so many people are waking up to 9/11 now. It's crazy because it's been 24 years. But I've been talking about this for like 20 years plus. Every year around September 11th. And but then they came out and they did another major operation. The same people who did 9/11. We'll get into all this, by the way. We'll definitely get into all this. On September 10th, with a public execution of Charlie Kirk, who I don't know a lot about actually. But like I said, usually around this time, September 11th, I'd usually be posting stuff like this. When it's September 10th, the Patriot Voice said, it's still absolutely surreal that this is the morning of 9/11, the 24th anniversary of the worst attack ever on American soil by the CIA and Mossad. And yet this horrific event is now in competition with Charlie Kirk's assassination yesterday. It honestly doesn't even feel like real life anymore. It's a perpetual trauma-induced nightmare. And that's definitely part of it too. There's so many operations and so many objectives and agendas in this that it's going to take me a while to go through, but I do want to go through them all. But definitely one of them is really trying to rile up this civil war type thing, which totally benefits the people in control. That's what they want. It's actually been a big part of what they want. They've been destroying Western civilization for like 100 years now. And that's what we're seeing now, by the way. We're seeing this has all been done on purpose through the government indoctrination camps, the communist colleges, the television programming on the television, the Hollywood movies, it all, and so much more than that, all leads to this really divisive sort of society, which is what they want. And now they're trying to push it over the edge. And I found it kind of interesting too, because right before the Charlie Kirk assassination, there was another tape released, and both of them were completely uncensored, by the way. And it was just like a day or two before, even though this event apparently happened months ago, but all in this a couple days, this tape gets leaked, which I'm not going to play, which appears to show some black guy killing a white girl on a train in the most horrific of fashions. I didn't even have time to look into that one. I can't keep up with the Psyops. I can barely keep up with the Charlie Kirk one, which I will though, in this video. But there's so much, they're just, this is what Yuri Bezmenov was talking about with the demoralization tactics of these people that are the same people that are doing all these things. And they're just really pushing it out there now. So I didn't even look into that, the girl killed on a train, but from what I heard, it was actually a woman who has basically got out of Ukraine, which the same people who are doing all these things are destroying. Like, if this is true, what happened to this woman, it is so sad, because basically the globalist type, the Jew, the Khazarian, whatever you want to call these, the Illuminati, whatever, especially the other dimensional beings that are actually doing all this, they basically cause just horror where she was from. So she escapes to the US, she gets on a train, and then is butchered by a black guy, of course. And that is so crazy sad. She's gonna have a ton of good karma after this, by the way. But for this particular manifestation in the video game, what a brutal chain of events. But it was interesting to me that they put it all out there, and it was everywhere. Just the goriest of videos of both the killing of the woman on the train, and also the Charlie Kirk broad daylight assassination, which was super gory. I'm not going to play that. I'm sure everyone's probably seen it. And I think this is all one part of the agenda, which I'll be getting into. There's so much stuff with this one. Just like with the Butler, Pennsylvania so-called assassination attempt, just FYI, that's what an assassination attempt by what you call the deep state looks like. They don't miss. They hit exactly where they want to hit. It doesn't matter if he flinched at the last second. That's what a real assassination looks like. But, you know, I looked into that. That was obviously all fake. A lot of people still can't get their heads around that. Then there was the school shooting just like a week ago. Another sort of trans thing. Nothing makes any sense. It's all a bunch of propaganda and agendas, and it's probably someone under MK Ultra mind control. And this one even makes even less sense. Before I get into the Charlie Kirk operation, here's a BLM person talking about the Ukrainian woman killed on a train in the US.
We have a right to violence. All oppressed people have a right to violence. And I'm going to tell you something. It's like the right to pee. You got to have the right place. You got to have the right time. You got to have the appropriate situation. And I'm absolutely convinced that this is it.
And that, by the way, was posted by the official Black Lives Matter account, basically saying that it's okay if black people kill white people. And like I said, I didn't even have time to look into that one because I already did another one. And the second one's way bigger. So I'm just trying to cover as many as I can. But I did notice that the person they said who was killed on the train, Irina Zarutska, here's some images of her with a monarch butterfly t-shirt, which is usually a sign that that was an operation in one form or another. And many of these things are. And even the Charlie Kirk thing definitely needs to be looked at very suspiciously from so many different angles. Like, for example, here's just a few images of him. It's usually Flash in the pyramid. And here he is with Candace Owens, who could also be some sort of controlled op. See, that's the thing. A lot of them can be. But that doesn't mean that they won't kill them in their own operations. When you play with these evil people, they don't care about you. Let's put it that way. But I'm not necessarily saying that Charlie Kirk was a controlled opposition person. I am saying that there's some evidence that he could be. And to be totally upfront, I don't actually know much about him. I actually never paid attention to much that he ever said. I saw him on X quite a bit. But every time I would go and listen for like 10 seconds, he was talking about how he supports Israel. So for me, it's like, okay, next. Like, obviously, I don't want to listen to this person. But here's the twist. He was like that. But he began to change in the last few months. He began to notice. And one of the first things that he started talking about recently was that we demand the release of the Epstein files.
I think the DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah. Everything. Everything except child sexual assault material.
I think every file should be released to the public the same way as the JFK files. Let the American people decide.
So that alone puts you as a target. But then there was actually quite a bit more than that. Apparently this was his last interview with, can you guess it? Drum roll, please. Ben Shapiro.
Charlie, we've pushed back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border. So like, maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. So, Ben, some people would accuse Israel of wanting to ethnically cleanse. Some people in the Israeli government are saying, again, it's all over the place, right? You have opinions all over. In your opinion, what would a good outcome 5 years from now be, and how does one respond to the claims of ethnic cleansing?
Now, Ben Shapiro is a Mossad agent. He goes for all the meetings. He's clearly, if not an official Mossad agent, he's playing that role. And we'll get into that because this is very interesting. Because basically they're replacing Charlie Kirk with that little weasel. We'll get into that in a second. There's so much stuff. like get a drink, preferably a really healthy drink. You got to take care of your temple. Get whatever you need to sit through this, because I've got a lot of stuff to go through here. And this is all stuff I found basically in about 20 minutes of looking at it, because I've been busy. I've been traveling around, going to so many different things. But I pulled up a lot of stuff and found a lot of stuff very, very quickly. And in regards to Charlie Kirk potentially having been waking up, and this is something I mentioned just in my last video, right? I said, don't be willing to accept that some people could change over the next few years, because we're going to start to see that. We're going to, with all the stuff Christoph Melchizedek is saying, there's going to be numerous people all of a sudden getting the right connection, and all of a sudden they'll see that a lot of the stuff they were doing was bad. A lot of them are going to get sick. Some of them are going to die, which is in general great. But some of them will actually start to change. And I said that in my last video, and I didn't know a lot about this Charlie Kirk person. From what I looked into, it looks like he's your fairly typical conservative Republican type, anti-abortion, pro-gun, which is good. But the fact that he was so pro-Israel made me completely disregard him. So I never even looked into him. But what I found out is, when I looked into it, over the last month or two, and definitely in the last few weeks, he's all of a sudden began to demand the Epstein stuff, and he's began to get critical of Israel. Like here.
Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true the Anti-Defamation League was part and parcel with Black Lives Matter. It is true that some of the largest financiers of left-wing anti-white causes have been Jewish Americans. They went all in on woke, and it wasn't just ADL. It was some of the top Jewish organizations in the country that have done that. In fact, we have seen this with the recent retreat of Jewish donations that are no longer going to be administered to colleges, right? Mark Rowan, Leon Copperman. Can we get that full list? It's very powerful. The part of so that's totally true. And by the way, Tucker Carlson reinforces this. So I'm going to it was quite a day on the internet. Tucker Carlson was interviewing Candace Owens. We have Candace Owens coming up next hour. And Tucker Carlson mentions that Jewish Americans have primarily been financing cultural Marxist ideas. We said this, by the way, last week, and people came after us.
We were on top of it.
We actually said it in a different way. We said, I'm glad that Jewish Americans are reconsidering their financing of cultural Marxism. and people misunderstood it intentionally and slandered us as being anti-Semites. But listen to this. Tucker Carlson is completely correct by saying this, that the philosophical foundation of anti-whiteness has been largely financed by Jewish donors in the country.
Oh, and notice too, by the way, when he said that to Ben Shapiro with the giant creepy eyebrows, did you notice his expression? That's an expression of, you're gonna get killed. That was like the moment probably when they decided they're gonna take him out. Because he's been talking a lot about this actually, which has been great, and this is what I've been saying. Some people, probably not many at the start, probably very few that you would ever imagine, but some of them might start to realize what's actually right and wrong in this matrix and begin to change. And it could have been Charlie Kirk was doing that. Because here's more of what he's been saying recently.
I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF.
And before that, I think, there was this thing about Charlie Kirk who did not want to talk to that Nick Fuentes guy, who's quite anti-Israel. And Ian Carroll, who's kind of been working for InfoWars, that's been interesting lately as well, with some of their staff leaving, like Owen Schroyer, I think his name is, basically because Alex Jones didn't like that he was speaking up about Israel and Trump. And Ian Carroll was on there for a while, so I don't know what to think of him either. But basically, Ian Carroll posted about how Charlie Kirk was avoiding Nick Fuentes. And this is a post from a month ago, by the way, August 13th, by Harrison H. Smith. I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them.
And that's what we're sort of feeling right now in the conservative influencer space, because it's not just those three. It's like Charlie Kirk is drug into it because Nick has been asking to debate Charlie for years now about Israel. And Charlie just runs away and makes up bullshit excuses and, brags about how many donors he has and all this bullshit.
Oh yeah, I saw that video.
That clip was so atrocious.
I got 1,000 employees and
we win. They blame the Jews. He's just a lot of jealousy. A lot of jealousy.
It's like, what?
It's like,
why?
Okay, Charlie. Yeah, Nick is jealous of how many Jewish people donate to your organization.
And of course, there's been millions of people talking about this, and millions of horrible people. A lot of them are all in bloodlust. And everyone's trying to put their own sort of spin on it, which we'll get into more. There's a bunch of it. But I thought this one was interesting because on Kill Gates MSNBC, a guy by the name of Matthew Dowds basically said that Charlie Kirk brought it on himself because he was speaking so violently.
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
But here's the thing. Larken Rose did an awesome video on this. It's on vigilante.tv. I'll put it on screen. I'll put a link to it in the notes below. It goes on for about half an hour. He explains this far better than I am going to right now. But to break it down into a short amount of time here, basically what Charlie Kirk, because he was a right-wing political activist, basically. So I've seen some people say, well, he shouldn't have got shot because he was speaking peacefully. Here's the thing I've been trying to tell people for 20 years now, that most people still don't get. Anything to do with politics is violence itself. That's what politics, that's what government is. It's also mind control. That's the meaning of the name of the word. But all the things that government does, they mostly extort people. That's called taxes. And now people are all excited about getting extorted by tariffs and stuff like that. Then they enforce, in the US, no one knows how many laws there are. It's thousands, it could be tens of thousands. Most of them, there's no victim. If there's no victim, it's not a crime. And they go out and enforce, oh, you have some plants in your pocket. We're going to kidnap you and put you in a jail. If you try to run away, we're going to shoot you. So it's a violent mafia that does what it does, mostly steals from people and enacts violence on people. And so when people are saying things like, well, he was just talking with an open dialogue about this stuff, which in general is great. Like, we definitely need a lot more of that. But what was he talking about? Well, vote for these guys. And they're going to do their brand of tyranny and authoritarianism. The whole thing is actually violent. So that guy on MSNBC is kind of right. Like, what he was involved in, Charlie Kirk, was pushing a violent system. And so it's actually not terribly surprising if he comes to a violent end. That's actually all energetic. But how it happened, that's open for discussion. But you can really see they're trying to tear this right and left side apart right now. And they got them all in a box. That's what that Saturn's cube is when you graduate from college and high school is. That basically means they've got you into a box. And most people are trapped in that box. And that's what the Jones Plantation is there for, to help people break out of the mind control of it. But most people think there's only the left and the right, and there's really nothing else. And you just have to keep choosing one or the other. And everything always just keeps getting worse. But here's the thing, the scale of freedom versus tyranny that they give most people, that most people actually, they're only aware of this part. They usually say communism's on the left, then it goes a little less to socialism, then it goes a little less to liberalism, then you get moderate, and then you have conservatism, libertarianism, which that's actually wrong. Yeah, libertarianism shouldn't be right next to fascism. So the first scale is totally wrong, but that's what they generally tell people. And then the right side, they tell them, is fascism. Here's an actually more accurate, but still not totally perfect, political scale for the US. You have the state, which basically, if you go all the way in that direction, you have complete tyranny. And a little to the right of it is communism, a little to the right of that is fascism. That's where they've got everyone. They think that's the whole thing. But then you go to the socialists, the liberals, the rhino, the conservatives, Tea Party, then you start getting closer to freedom. Libertarianism, anarcho-capitalism, and anarchy. Which really, there's no difference between anarcho-capitalism and anarchy. But they've got people trapped that you have to be in one of these other things, when actually true freedom is outside of all that. And it's just sad to see all these people have been under mind control by the same people. The same people have been promoting this forever and keeping them in their government indoctrination camps, their television programming, that it's just these things. And you have to kind of pick a side and stay in that little box. When if everyone, if the liberal side people could realize this and realize the whole problem is the whole system itself. and the people who control that system. And if the right side people could see that as well, it'd all be basically over. If they stopped using the currency of that criminal organization, stopped giving it all their money, we would have so much more peace on Earth and so many less of these horrible things going on, because they do them all. And they do them all to keep people fighting with each other. And that's what you're seeing with this. There's so many interesting things with this. Like, for example, this is Charlie Kirk's last uploaded YouTube short. And look at the very bottom what the title is. Enough is enough. That's interesting. Remember that card from the Illuminati card game? Enough is enough. It looks just like Donald Trump. At any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. That's interesting and wild. And that leads me more towards the, this is a 3D video game with all this crazy stuff in it. So what are the odds that Charlie Kirk's last post on YouTube would say enough is enough, and that's the thing, that's the Illuminati card game with the Trump guy in it, and talks about using snipers to take you out. Like, we've seen this so often. And that's more where I am, by the way. All this other stuff, none of it's real. None of it. Like, when I'm telling you how much of this stuff's controlled and done, that's not even scratching the surface. Life itself isn't even real. Not in the way that you think. But anyway, it's really hard to kind of convince people of that. They actually have to see it for themselves. And they have to actually go inside and do the work to come to that realization. But so many people are so far away from that now that that's what's causing all this. It's just a big, giant mess. And I just try to stay away from it. Here on Mykonos, no problems, because lots of people with money come here. And it's expensive, but I keep away from most of the stuff. I mostly stay on my ranch now, as much as I can, and more in the future. Like this, it's interesting that Charlie Kirk's organization was called Turning Point, because in many ways, this is a bit of a turning point. They're going full hardcore now. They're doing live executions on air, not fake ones like in Butler, and really trying to get this thing going and really getting everyone all whipped up with trauma and emotions and hate, and it's the other side. And we'll get into that in a second. There's so much to it. But if you want to go for the worst takes ever, you always go with the mainstream media. Things like MSNBC, Kill Gates, MSNBC. Here's what they said why he might have got shot.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, I emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
Now, that's a wild conspiracy theory. One of the college students who was just carrying like a pistol just wanted to fire off a shot, you know, just like it's the 1800s or something, or Mexico today. And whenever you're happy, you fire off a couple shots, but he got him right in the jugular, like right dead center in the jugular. That's a real assassination attempt. If you haven't seen it, it looks like that. It doesn't look like a guy falling down, covering his ear. Everyone jumps on top of him. He pops up with like something that looks like blood on his ear. They put all the photographers into place. They lower the flag down for the epic shot. That is a stage performance. But all these things, actually, including the Kirk thing, are all a production. It's all done by the same people. They told you on 60 Minutes. Did no one listen to them?
We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. And the world is our stage.
And this one had all the usual stuff. Like, I should actually start like a college course and call it Psychological Operations 101 or something. Because I'm an expert on these now. And they always do the same things. And it's all quite obvious, except for people who have no eyes to see or ears to hear. And what did they do with this one? As soon as it happened, the whole internet was flooded with images of this guy. Video of the patsy George Zinn, who was arrested while creating the diversion amid Charlie Kirk's assassination, recounts how he knew Al-Qaeda was responsible for the 9/11 attacks the moment he saw the towers fall. So everyone thought this guy was the killer at the start. Kinda wild that this old man, George Zinn, created a perfect distraction that allowed the shooter to escape. Drum roll, please. Yes, he's Jewish.
Now, all you conspiracy theorists out there, I don't want you going crazy, but what are the odds that George Zinn, the patsy that was arrested at the Charlie Kirk assassination, also saw 9/11, he saw the planes fly into the buildings and called that in or reported it, and then he also called in a fake terrorist attack at the Boston Marathon bombing, and just so happened to get arrested at Charlie Kirk's event. So Tess Keyser, she responded to this tweet and she says, Grok is a guy really involved in all three events like this post claims. And Grok fact checks it and goes, based on a review of multiple sources, George Zinn was a witness to the 9/11 attacks and he described seeing planes hit the towers. He was also arrested in 2013 for emailing a bomb threat joke to the Salt Lake City Marathon shortly after the Boston bombing. He pled guilty to a terrorism charge and somehow magically only received probation. He was also detained and questioned as a person of interest at the Charlie Kirk assassination on September 10th, 2025, but released without charges relating to the shooting. Then Grok went on and made sure that it told you there is no credible evidence that supports claims of his involvement in 9/11's false flag, facilitating Kirk's deaths, or Mossad ties. The main suspect in Kirk's killing is now Tyler Robinson, and he is in custody. So I asked Grok to break this one down for us, and it says so, and it wouldn't give me an answer first. It said it's impossible to calculate. Well, I said use statistical probability and give me a ballpark stat on the probability of him being at all three major events. And it goes through here and it breaks it down. Then we get down here to the very bottom where it combines the probability right here. Combined probability. And it says it is equal to 0.705% or 5 times 10 to the power of 8. That translates to approximately 1 in 2 billion. Does all of that seem normal to you?
And that's how they do it every time. Remember the BlackRock? There's been so many. There's been so many. Just a few weeks ago, there was the BlackRock shooting. And they had two patsies sitting right there with Free Palestine shirts. And the first thing they said was they did it. Same thing with the school shooting. Put out all this transgender stuff just immediately. And that's what they do because most people just remember that. So your average person is just on X and all of a sudden they see Charlie Kirk with like blood gushing out of his neck. It's really gross and heinous. And that puts a lot of people in a shock. They're like, holy shit, I was listening to him. Like, he's one of the people I listened to and he's dead now, basically. And what do? They immediately put out, it was this guy, it was a radical leftist. And that's what everyone was saying, radical leftist. But anyone with a brain, if you're in my Psyop, Psychological Operation 101 course, and you go, well, it could have been him, I'd be like, you're not ready for this glass get out. These libtard type people, old guy, yeah, he's in the crowd with like a pistol, takes one shot and gets him right in the jugular, right. Not gonna happen, but it actually turned out very quickly, like within a day. But that's already, once it's gone past a day, your average person's already moved on to something else. And all they remember, Charlie Kirk was killed by a radical leftist. And they're told that we need a civil war, which I'll get into in a second. That's all part of it. But they did that again. Meanwhile, the FBI released some footage and said, oh, they found the shooter. He was on the rooftop again, just like in Butler. And he got off and no one saw him and he ran off into the woods and actually they were still looking for him up until I basically came to walk out here, and then they said they found him after like 2 days. In like this packed college campus, surrounded by cops everywhere, military bases all around the place. This guy jumped off the roof, no one saw him, went into the woods, and here's what they said. Charlie Kirk shooting, report claims ammunition was engraved with transgender anti-fascist ideology. Investigators found ammo engraved with transgender and anti-fascist messages inside the rifle believed to have been used in Charlie Kirk's fatal shooting. Okay, so here we go again. It's all the messages. I don't know if it said sponsored by BlackRock this time or not. They're having fun, the last one. But they said they found the rifle in the woods. Well, that's interesting because like the FBI released a video and you actually see the guy running off the roof down to the ground and running off, and he doesn't have a rifle.
As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes.
Not to mention, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, why would he take the rifle? Like, if he wanted to get out of there, he'd probably just leave it. But he took it, but he also had messages on it that he wanted people to see, but then he hid it in the woods. None of it makes sense. It doesn't have to make sense because none of it's true. That's all you need to know. And then they released the rifle, the FBI, you know, Kash Patel, he was there right away, and he knows what happened. It was, you know, some this or that, probably MK Ultra mind control type guy. But the health ranger had this to say. In the process of faking evidence, the FBI is too stupid to even mount the rifle scope in the correct position in the process of fabricating fake evidence. This rifle is unshootable in a prone position for a simple reason that's obvious to anyone who has ever shot a rifle in a prone position. The FBI thinks you're stupid. The rifle was planted, 100% theater. The inscriptions on the bullets almost certainly written by the FBI. Well, I guess we'll have to wait to hear what Kash Patel says about that. I'm no gun guy at all, but looks like that scope is, if that gun went off, you're gonna have a really bad broken eye socket. Especially if you're just taking one shot like a total pro. Like even in the Butler one, they fired off a bunch, and they actually had to. They fired one into the crowd to kill someone in the crowd, because if no one died, a lot less people would have believed it. But once they killed someone in the crowd, they're like, well, it was real. It's like, well, it was kind of, yeah, it was real. The guy probably died. I don't even know, actually. There's a lot of questions about that. But the whole thing was set up by the entire government. That's the thing that people can't get. They're still wrapped up in what's the Democrats trying to do. They're the same thing. It's World Federation Wrestling, or whatever they call themselves now, WEF, which is kind of funny, right? Same as the World Economic Forum, World something forum, or I don't know what they call themselves now. It used to be WWF, that's all I know. That's what it is. Donald Trump is in the World Wrestling Federation Hall of Fame. That's what all this stuff is. And people can't get their head around. They think that there's some people, like some side of the government, that's going to get them the truth. Once they finally figure that out, then things are going to get very interesting. And actually, I think things are going to get very interesting anyway. Patriot Voice posted, one of the hallmarks of an inside job or operation is signaling. That comes in different forms. And here in this video, it shows a bunch of guys behind Charlie Kirk making pretty clear signals.
Those of us who served in the military are a little bit aware of hand signals being thrown up. And these two men need to really be looked into with some of the sniper looking signals, especially coming from the guy in the white and the guy in the black.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great. Over the last 10 years.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Now here's another angle of it, and this one looks like way more obvious to me.
I think this guy right here has something to do with it. Watch. I want y'all to watch this guy. He's going to look to that side, and then he's going to tap his shoulder. He looks, tap, shot.
So that's interesting. You never know for sure. They could have just touched their hat that way and touched their arm that way, but it looked very like signals. And it's actually the very signals that the military uses for those exact events. So that's interesting, but they've already pushed that this was a left-wing trans sort of person. They got all the usual sort of stuff in there to try to rile people up when it's actually the system itself doing it again. And there's so many, like, I actually didn't really talk about it when it first happened, because I rarely do when something pretty major happens. I like to wait a day or two and try to like really see everything before I even start to come to any sort of conclusions. But so that's what I did with this. It's been about 2 days. Actually, no, when was it? Was it yesterday? I'm losing track of time. Today's the 11th. I think it was on the 10th. Yeah, it was just yesterday. So I haven't waited as long as I usually do. But this one was quite obvious. And there's so many. They're all still coming out. Like, for example, so Charlie Kirk just got shot. And here's how, you watch your crime scene investigator TV shows. And if someone gets murdered somewhere, there's like police tape and like dusted for fingerprints and photographing everything. No, with Charlie Kirk, once they wheeled him off, a bunch of guys just came in and started taking down the tent.
Safety team is here. I just heard them say the active shooter, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. Charlie Kirk got hit, is what the security detail just said.
Which one, sir?
Yeah, same thing in Butler. With most of these, they just instantly come in and just take everything away. Same with 9/11. Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump and all of them were all involved in them wheeling off all of the World Trade Center towers to China to be melted down. No look into what happened or anything. That's the real crime scene investigations you get when they're the ones doing the crimes. I know there's a bunch of theories out there on all kinds of stuff. There's one that shows, it looks like his ring switches from one finger to the next when he gets shot. I looked into that. It's definitely interesting. More interesting is how his pinky finger moves. It almost looks like it's AI video, but as far as I know, I think he was there. like you never know with these things. You really don't. But I was quite glad when Alex Zek, who I just saw last week at Liverpoco, kind of looked into it all, because I don't have the time. And I kind of watched what he had to say about it, and I generally agree with his take on it. So I'll let him say it for me.
See a lot of people questioning whether the Charlie Kirk assassination was staged and faked. And I want to preface this by saying I think it's incredibly important that we question everything that we are shown on mainstream media, on alternative media, and on these algorithms. With that being said, I want to present why I currently think that this is a legitimate assassination. And before I get into it, the last thing that I'll say is that I'm open to changing my mind when presented with new information. So if you have anything that goes against what I'm saying here, that's totally fine. I'm open to analyzing it and changing my mind. And also that because we're in the age of AI where we can't discern between reality and something that is completely fabricated by AI, we should be questioning everything. The first thing I want to address is the blood gushing out of Charlie's neck rather than squirting out of his neck. It is true that when the carotid artery is nicked, it'll squirt blood, but when it is completely obliterated by a projectile coming from a high-powered rifle, it will gush blood. This is pretty well established. The second thing is his hair movement and the movement of his shirt pumping up and down kind of like this after he's hit. This is explained easily by a projectile coming at a high speed, coming from a high-powered rifle, hitting Charlie, impacting him. It's like getting punched really hard in the neck. And as far as his shirt moving up and down, it could be that Charlie, because he does what he does and is often in public, wears a bulletproof vest underneath his shirt. And again, being impacted at that rate, his hair moves like this and his shirt goes like this as he's hit. And on that note, from multiple angles, from multiple video angles coming from multiple people at multiple levels of quality, it appears that Charlie responds exactly as you would expect someone to respond involuntarily almost, as he's being hit by a high-speed projectile from multiple angles. And that is really, really hard to fake. And a few other people are bringing up the fact that there seemed to be a glitch on his shirt where the text on his shirt seemed to have another piece of text right here, just another black thing right here. So that can be explained via a number of ways. First, it could be that after a video is recorded and uploaded and then re-uploaded and screen recorded again and screen recorded again, then uploaded again, uploaded again, it could be a compression issue in the video that sometimes appears as an AI glitch, or it could be a legitimate AI glitch. But it also could be that Charlie was wearing a lapel mic, which I'll share, whether right here or afterwards, a lapel mic, and you can see that in a number of his other videos. And let me explain that a little bit. So when you're speaking at an event, this happens to me all the time, you have the microphone that you're holding that is for the audience that you are addressing on the speakers at the event that you're speaking at. But there's also cameras that are recording, and if they want to pick up good sound, you'll wear a lapel mic so that the cameras can pick up sound for the video footage thereafter, for the recordings that are released later on. And as you know, Charlie's releasing a lot of recordings after the fact. And then a lot of other people are bringing up the ring that Charlie was wearing on his finger, where it appears to be on this finger first, and then it looks like it's on this finger as he's shot. If you look at a bunch of other videos of Charlie's, he's wearing a hinge ring, a ring that literally can open up on a hinge, and the hinge is in between his pinky finger and his ring finger. And again, you can see this in a number of his other videos. It could be that as he was hit, the hinge is open, and as he's hit, his hand tenses up, and because the hinge is here, it falls open and lays over the top of this finger. So it'll literally look like there's something over the top of this finger because the hinge is in between these two fingers. And again, Charlie's wearing this ring in a number of other videos. And another thing that people keep bringing up is that there were a number of books published on Amazon either the day before or the day after the event took place. And this is also easily explainable with Amazon publishing and Kindle on-demand publishing. So when you publish a book on Amazon, you can manually set the publishing date. And given that Amazon prints on demand, you could easily write up an AI book that you generated the day of the shooting, go on to Amazon, publish it, and yes, it says it takes sometimes 1 to 3 days for it to fully publish and be listed on Amazon, but it can be listed way quicker. And several people who've written Amazon books will say this as well. If you put it up on Amazon, sometimes it's approved within a few hours. So you could easily write an AI book, manually change the publishing date to the day before, and then cause mass confusion just by publishing this and cause people to question this event. And there are a number of other things that I could address as well, like the guy that's standing behind Charlie that appears to give a hand signal. That is something that I'm still considering for sure. And there are several other factors that I'm considering as well. But at this current point, I think this is a legitimate assassination. And this also leads me to the most important point. Irrespective of whether this was legitimate or completely staged, the most important thing is the perception of the people after the fact, what this will cause. It'll cause more chaos, more division. It'll cause more civil unrest, and possibly worse than that. So the perception is what matters most, not the act itself. And is this causing more division? Is this leading to a lot of civil unrest? And how are you processing the information? And how are you transmuting it to make sure that you're not adding to that chaos, adding to that division, adding to that civil unrest? And the last thing that I want to say is the fact that in a matter of just a few days, we've witnessed some brutal murders by knives and also by a high-powered rifle, and we're watching this imagery over and over and over and over and over again. What does that do to our subconscious? How does that desensitize us? What does that do to our focused awareness? Those are the deeper questions that we need to be asking. We were not made, in my opinion, to handle this level of trauma to our psyche. So I'm asking you to be cautious with what you are consuming, especially as the world slips into more chaos, more division, and more unrest.
Now, exactly what happened, I don't know. Barely even looked into it. But I think Alec kind of had a pretty good take on it there. And I love his take on what it's really all about and how to be careful how you react to this, because that's exactly what they want. They want people, you know, you don't do this in broad daylight in front of 1,000 college kids. Have a guy just bleeding out his neck with like a fairly famous figure with, like, you do it for a reason. You do it because you want max trauma, max shock. Shock and awe, that's what they do. And they did it there again. And there's so many bizarre things. Like I said, I've looked into this for 20 minutes. And I still got a lot more to talk about. But here's one from Morgan. You see how effective the conditioning is? Half of you barely knew who Charlie Kirk was. The other half liked him because he hated trans and brown people. Yet he was allegedly just given transport on Air Force 2. That aircraft, like Air Force 1, when carrying the president, is reserved for sitting officials, foreign heads of state, and urgent government missions. Civilian figures, no matter how prominent, do not normally receive that treatment. At most, they fly by private charter or, if veterans, under formal military honors. For a media figure like Kirk to receive official transport on Air Force 2 is anomalous. It signals an operation to elevate his profile and cement him as a symbolic figure, a means to justify federal involvement and tighten security policy, a spectacle designed to blur the line between private activist and state official. And also remember, the alleged terrorist has still not been located, even though the area is surrounded by military bases and security infrastructure said to exist for that very purpose. Yeah, this has been promoted like a president got assassinated or something. The media has talked about it that way. A lot of people are talking about it that way. And then they flew off Charlie Kirk's body on, first of all, J.D. Vance took his body, I think, on Air Force 2, and then Donald Trump is supposed to be going to his funeral and stuff like that, like it's a state. You know, not that that's a good thing, right? Like, the state's horrible. But this is the type of stuff they usually do if, like, a president was shot or something. And that's very interesting. It's also interesting, this. A private jet disabled its location monitoring system while departing from Provo Airport, 12 minutes from Utah Valley University, 1 hour after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. The jet is owned by, drumroll please, Derek Maxfield, a wealthy donor to the Chabad Lubavitch of Utah. So that's interesting, isn't it? One of the Chabad Lubavitch jets turns off their transponder and leaves like 12 minutes after the event. They're probably there just to make sure it all went well. But let's recap here. How many agendas did they hit with this one? Obviously, one of them, which Pam Blondie posts about every day, is we got to get rid of all the guns. They're too dangerous. They threw in the trans thing, which makes no sense, but that also they can say, oh, it's the trans hate. That's what caused all this sort of stuff. The real reason for probably doing this is that one of their top people, Charlie Kirk, began to notice and actually wake up and actually say the right thing, which is something I just said in my last video. Kind of interesting, right? And I didn't even know that he had started to flip on that, which I said is possible. Some of these people might. Then they've got all the anti-Israel stuff. They tied that all into it. I'll get into that in a second. And what they're really trying to foment is more of this Civil War type idea, which they really want to get just, 50% of the people in the U.S. believe in a red elephant. I don't know, stop me if it sounds insane. The other 50% believe in a blue donkey, and they're taught to hate each other. And, some of the reasons they do is actually for good reason, but they do it this way on purpose. I don't know how they manage to get it like 50-50 all the time, but they do. Like, these guys, the people doing this, it's not even human. So that's the thing. But they really want to push that. So let's just go and look at all the top sort of influencers and what they had to say right after Charlie Kirk was shot. Anyone want to guess? Libs of TikTok, this is war. Joey Manorino, the Democrat Party must be classified as a domestic terror organization and their members, leaders treated accordingly. Enough is enough. Oh, there it is again. Brian Eastwood, Charlie Kirk getting shot is the shot heard around the country. I'm ready for civil war. Oilfield Randall, I don't want the National Guard sent to Democrat cities anymore. I want the Air Force sent. Gunther Eagleman, they've declared war. Aesthetica, there's no going back after this. There's no more words to be said. The only way this ends is the complete annihilation of the Democrat Party. Matt Forney, Charlie Kirk being assassinated is the American Reichstag fire. It's time for a complete crackdown on the left. Every Democrat politician must be arrested and the party banned under RICO. Every libtard commentator must be shut down. Patrick Casey, it's time to bring the hammer down on the left. Fox host Jesse Waters, they are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they're at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? Here's Jeremy Memes. Charlie Kirk has been shot. And then he says it again. Enough is enough. It's incredible. That mind control, it's so incredible. They've got them all saying it. And then Elon Musk, if they won't leave us in peace, then our choice is fight or die. Then, of course, you got the Tates, who are totally controlled opposition. They just said 2 words, civil war. It's incredible how they've done all this. Basically, the controllers have set this all up to create basically these 2 groups and make them hate each other. And they use false flags to make them hate each other. Because what are the right side people saying? They're basically saying, they shot one of our right side people and it was the left who did it. So we have to go to war with the left. No, it wasn't the left. It was the government. It was the CIA, Mossad. It's the things that Charlie Kirk used to promote all the time. It's incredible. And I get it too, like your average person's, both sides have had enough is enough of the other side. And they pushed it so extreme that, like, I understand why they feel that way. It's just sad that they've all been lied into this, and it's on purpose to destroy them all. That's what it actually is. And if we actually, as humanity, or as people in the West, you could say, or people in the US, actually want to have this resolved the best way possible, it is going to take the left and the right sides both realizing their enemy isn't them. The enemy's above them, and the enemy's playing with them both to get them to destroy each other. Will enough of them do it? I don't know. We'll see. Things are changing. It is the apocalypse. Starting to get more of the Christic signal coming into Earth now. It's going to be a lot of things changing. And one of the things that is very obvious to me, like 10 years ago, if something like this happened, all you'd see is just R.I.P. Charlie Kirk and, sadness, and, people would just accept that whatever happened is exactly what they said it was. Now you see very little of that. You actually see most people suspicious of who actually did it. And a lot of times they get it wrong, like a lot of the right side people think it's left, and that's been set up for them. But it's so good that most people are suspicious of all this stuff now. Like, that's all I saw was like stuff that I would normally post 10 years ago. People like me and James Corbett and Dan Dix and others, Jason Burmas with 9/11 and those sort of people. We used to do all that years ago, but now the whole internet does it. Like, people have woken up that much, and they woke up so much that so many people blame this on Israel, which is so good because it's right. It's correct. Like, we're really getting there. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen this fast, but like, so many people were on the internet saying it was Israel, which it clearly is involved with Israel. All this stuff is. And it's not just Israel, it's the people who control Israel. It's some Jews, the Khazarian mafia, the satanic occult elite sort of people, which are just parasites. But they said it so much that Ben Nitte, who changed his name to it was Benjamin Milkowski, changed it to Ben Nitte for a while, said he was an economist. Then he changed it to Benjamin Netanyahu, and all of a sudden he's the prime minister of Israel. He's actually had to go on and tell people that it wasn't Israel that did it because so many people are saying it.
Before I let you go, I want you to address one thing, and it's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk murder, and I don't believe it for 1 second, but I want you to make a statement. It's so absurd.
That's insane. That's insane. Israel also changes the orbit of the moon. Israel pushes the sun. I mean, the whole thing it's not only insane, I think it's so absurd, so stupid, and so ridiculous. You can't believe that people are saying that. They just found the perpetrator. They'll get to the bottom of this. But they go, they have no limits. when you hate Jews, when you hate the Jewish state, you're willing to say anything and promote all these absurd rumors. And by the way, they're willing to kill us all the time. I mean, that's what they're doing. And you know, over the centuries, when Jews, especially in the Middle Ages, the horrific Middle Ages, the worst things were said about Jews you couldn't possibly believe. We were poisoning the wells. We were drinking the blood of Christian children. You name it. I mean, these things, that continued actually up to the Holocaust.
Actually, the one world leader, misleader, genocidal war criminal who was talking the most about this, like hardly anyone said too much, usually just like a rest in peace or sending my love to his family and all that kind of stuff. But Netanyahu's been posting like all day on it, which is kind of interesting, right? Like, why does he care so much about this? And he first came out and said, well, we didn't do it. It's like, okay. And then he went on a bunch of others and said it's the Muslims, of course.
He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And you know, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies. Whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or they try to kill me here too. But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
I've seen so many Jews posting on X, and a lot of them are saying everyone's crazy for thinking Israel did it because Charlie Kirk was such a big supporter of Israel. But that's where they get you, because he actually was changing, which is what I said might happen. It's amazing how quickly it happened. And so they had to take him out. And you have all the Jews all confused. They're like, well, why would the Jews or Israel do it? He was a supporter of them. He was, but he was starting to change. That's the whole thing. And so they post all their, a bunch of them are Mossad bots. Some of them are real people. And here's one. Avi Avidan. If it turns out that the Muslim Brotherhood was behind the assassination of our friend Charlie, the U.S. must declare war on Turkey and Qatar. No excuses, no delays. That's interesting. So he's saying if the Muslim Brotherhood was behind it, which is highly, highly, highly unlikely, actually basically impossible, because they're not doing anything with the CIA, the FBI. This is all an operation, Mossad. But what he said was, if it was them, then the U.S. should go and attack basically every Muslim country on earth. Okay, what if it was Israel? What should be done then? You won't hear an answer from that. There's all kinds of weird things about it too. Like here's the area where Charlie was sitting when he was shot. Looks exactly like the Jewish menorah. Was that on purpose? They do so many things on purpose. I mentioned at the start how Charlie Kirk was just on Ben Shapiro, the Mossad agent's show, and he actually brought up that Israel might not be as good as what they think. And, Ben Shapiro's eyebrows just almost flew off his head as he was basically like, well, he's going to die now. So then all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk's dead. And you want to guess who's basically taking over for him? Like he's basically said he's going to do all the things Charlie Kirk was doing. And I think he's even taken over the turning point thing. Anyone want to guess? Drum roll, please. Who's going to take over now that Charlie Kirk was waking up to keep the message on point? You got it. Ben Shapiro.
I saw a lot of rumors online today. I was made aware of this by my team that I canceled some sort of college tour. That's bullshit. I saw those rumors. They are false. I will be coming to college campuses, many of them this year. So will we all, I am sure, because we're Americans and we're not going to be deterred. Charlie's voice is not silent. We're going to pick up that blood-stained microphone where Charlie left it. And to those who would intimidate, who would seek to stop us, who would seek to end free discussion, who believe that they have ownership over public spaces and can violently threaten and kill people who speak freely, we are not going to stop. And I have two words: fuck you. We will not stop telling the truth. We will never stop telling the truth. We will never stop debating and discussing. We will never stop standing up for what America is and for what she should be. And we will never let Charlie Kirk's voice die. Goodbye to my friend, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing for your family and for your country and for all of us.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro has just taken over the Turning Point USA organization that Charlie Kirk started. And there you have it, the real motive behind Israel's assassination of Charlie Kirk. And up until a few hours ago, they're still looking for the guy, and they had all these images of him. And Stu Peters put this out. I thought it was pretty funny. If anyone knows the identity of the individual, please contact Kash Patel immediately. Just FYI, they made the guy look like Ben Shapiro, which is pretty funny. So within hours of this happening, Ben Shapiro has taken over Turning Point. He's going to make sure it's pro-Israel again. And he'll be doing all the talks that Charlie Kirk used to do. Well, that's it. That was fast. Anyone want to mourn? Anyone want to take some time here and just, think about life or anything? Nope. Ben Shapiro, within hours, is basically taking over for Charlie Kirk. But here's where it gets interesting. A lot of those college kids that listen to Charlie Kirk, they are starting to wake up. They're getting a lot of this stuff. And that's probably why Charlie Kirk started to change. He's probably hearing that from a lot of his audience, that he was so wrong supporting Israel. So when Ben Shapiro starts going to these college campuses, this is going to get interesting. I'm looking forward to this fall so much. Got a beautiful sunset here in Mykonos. We'll be gone from here soon by the time you see this video. And I'm looking forward to getting back to the ranch, watching the rest of the apocalypse, especially when it kicks off probably on September 23rd. And hockey starts again. We'll see if that even finishes the year. Probably won't, but if it does, great. And Peter Thiel's doing a 4-part lecture on how he's not the Antichrist. I'm looking forward to that more than hockey coming back. I have no idea what to expect. Like, what? 4 days? I actually probably could. But on one topic, give a lecture on one topic for 4 days. I don't know. That's tough. And then for the topic to be that he's not the Antichrist. This 3D video game is too funny. This has got to be the comedy part of it. I'm looking forward to that so much, and I'm also looking forward to Ben Shapiro showing up to college campuses and telling people they got to support Israel, because I know it's not going to go very well. Most of those kids, as dumbed down as they are, and as propagandized as they are, and that's not really their fault, and after 12 years of government indoctrination camps, and a lot of them have fluoride, a lot of them inject themselves with poison, but they're still quite young, and they have things like TikTok and stuff like that, where some of this information gets out. Those three things I'm so looking forward to this autumn, and it's also going to be probably the stock market crash. It's going to be so great. Probably the collapse of Western civilization as well, which I don't really see as a bad thing. I think, what it turned into such a disaster. And if we can actually bring back the Christic consciousness, which Christoph Melchizedek's trying to do with a lot of other people, then we could actually go on to an incredible world in 5 or 10 years, but you're gonna have to survive it. But just when you thought it couldn't get crazy enough, that Ben Shapiro has already taken over Charlie Kirk's organization, is gonna be doing all his tour now. That'd be like me being taken out and like Rabbi Shmuley doing my walk and talks from now on. It'd be like, the audience would be like, boo, like, wait, no. This is gonna get so interesting. See, they're losing control so much in so many different ways. This is so awesome. I'm having the best apocalypse. I'm totally lost here in Mykonos, but I'm having the best apocalypse. Oh, and speaking of Rabbi Shmuley, so Ben Shapiro's taken over all of Charlie Kirk's stuff within like 48 hours. And you'll never guess this one. Rabbi Shmuley decided to start a GoFundMe because Charlie Kirk got shot. I know what you're thinking, so is the GoFundMe for his family and stuff? Well, let me just remind you, he's a rabbi. He sells dildos. He's involved in the death of almost every major figure. No, Rabbi Shmuley posted, basically the same day Charlie Kirk got shot, that he's starting a fundraiser for himself. Today, as we witness yet another attempt to silence pro-Israel voices, we are reminded of the constant threats facing Rabbi Shmuley. For years, he has stood boldly for Israel and the Jewish people. Yet he has been physically assaulted in Vienna, Miami, Sydney. Donate now. Urgent appeal. Protect Rabbi Shmuley. Yeah, I'll get right on that. And not to mention, one of the last people Charlie Kirk spoke to was, drumroll please, Rabbi Shmuley. Yes, it's him again. He was trying to help, make sure Charlie Kirk talked the right way about Israel. And now Charlie Kirk is dead. And that's how it always works. It's incredible. And there's so many weird stuff again. Like every time we see this stuff, there was like the Maui fires, had a book out about the Maui fires, the directed energy weapon fires, before the fires happened. And it looks like that might have happened again.
This one here has got me a little confused. A new book that was released about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And what's so confusing about it? Well, its publication date. You see, September 9th is the day before Charlie Kirk was shot. He was shot yesterday, that was the 10th. This book was published the day before he was shot. Seems odd, doesn't it?
So like I said, I don't have the time to look into a lot of these things, but I did look briefly into that. So he mentions the name of the book, and he actually has the ASIN number for it, which is like how every book is identified. And so I went on Amazon, I looked for it, and I couldn't find it. There's like an updated one. So then I typed in on the Brave search the ASIN number for that book that he had in the video, and it actually finds it. It says it was on Amazon, The Shooting of Charlie Kirk, a comprehensive account. But if you click on it on Amazon, sorry, we couldn't find that page. So was that actually up before he even got shot? It could have been. That guy said it was posted on September 9th. Meanwhile, the rest of the Zionist media, they were on top of it immediately, like hours before almost any other media organization. The Jerusalem Post had the story. And of course, aside from all the agendas and all the things they do with all these things, you always have to keep an eye out for what happened basically right after it or during it that they might have distracted people from. And there was a huge one. Here's AIPAC on September 11th, so the next day. AIPAC commends the U.S. House of Representatives for including critical pro-Israel provisions in the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2025. The importance of these provisions is underscored by Israel's ongoing efforts to defeat Hamas in Gaza. House passes defense bill with major pro-Israeli provisions, and there is tons of them. $500 million, $500 million for U.S.-Israel missile defense cooperation, $35 million for U.S.-Israel cooperation on emerging defense, $50 million for U.S.-Israel anti-tunneling cooperation, $70 million for U.S.-Israel counter-drone cooperation. It goes on and on. The whole thing was for Israel, and it came out on September 11th. Interesting day. Yeah, bet you didn't hear anyone talk about that. No one was talking about 9/11 either, which was also done by CIA Mossad. I feel like I've taken crazy pills.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
How is no one seeing all this? But like I said, the good thing is a lot of people are starting to see it. Most people still can't see the whole thing yet. And unfortunately, they're on BitChute or Vigilante.tv and can't see my stuff with my giant audience of a few thousand people. But if they were on and they could see, what do you do about this stuff? Well, I've talked a lot about it. You actually just have to do the work. It's all inside of you. Nothing is outside of you. So no matter all this stuff, just go inside and do the work. And that's what we talked about LiberPolka so much. You should really get the replays. It's like less than $100, I think. LiberPolka.com. So many people talk about this stuff. And that's really what to do. But if you want some other sort of ideas on what you could do with all these governments that are doing all this evil stuff, Nepal gave a good example this week when the Nepalese government actually cut off all the social media networks, and probably because people were talking about anti-government stuff on them. So the people in Nepal burnt down the parliament. And here's some breaking news. Nepal's finance minister was just stripped of his clothes and chased into a river by angry protesters. And that's the thing. How many of the people on the left are saying we have to get rid of the government itself? Basically zero. Zero. And how many people on the right are saying the problem is the government itself? Almost zero. There's maybe a couple who aren't. They're all missing the true culprit. It's not the government, like the people who work at the DMV and stuff like that. It's the people who control, basically, the government. The U.S. government, the FBI, CIA, Kash Patel, Pam Blondie, all those people. They're all in on it. And the most you'll hear from people is, well, in 4 years, we'll vote for someone else. It's like, no, the Nepalese people took care of it really quick. Just takes a day. I'd love to see something like that happen. But it's probably not, because you don't hear hardly anyone talk about this. So many people on the right and the left will hate this video. None of them will watch it. They wouldn't even get in 5 minutes on it, because it goes against their mind control. So, I think I'm going the wrong way. I totally lost you. But, and then you have all the right people, they're all excited. Like, Trump's doing such a great job. It's like, Trump's regime just killed Charlie Kirk. No, but they're friends, Jeff. You don't get it. It's probably because he was starting to speak out against Israel. And you can't do that. If Trump did that, he'd have the same thing. That shot wouldn't miss the next time. But he keeps saying it, and he keeps staying alive because of it. It's going to be interesting. And you have so many of his supporters who are like, oh, this is going awesome. He's like, taxing us on anything we buy from outside the country, waiting for tariffs to replace taxes while paying both taxes and tariffs. Yeah. Well, they say one day maybe. Meanwhile, the guy who Donald Trump had a press conference with on like day one of his regime to announce a $500 billion mRNA AI lethal injection vaccine center, Larry Ellison, just again became the richest person on earth. Oracle founder Larry Ellison gains $107 billion in net worth today, making him the richest person in the world, worth $400 billion. Oracle stock is now at 43% on the day. Yep, they're all doing good, putting out this Palantir system, the death system, the enslavement system. You know, I know some people who have said things to me like, oh, I wish I invested in Palantir because it's gone up like 1,000% in the last 2 years. It's like, but those same people will also say to me things like, I'm so worried about the future with my kids, with everything that's going on, this government tyranny, the AI and stuff, but they'll still invest in it to make money. You see, whatever you put your energy into, and money is energy, you will get back. And so the very people who are worried about the future and how bad it's going to be for the kids and stuff are trying to put their energy into something to get more out, which is just money, which is what they actually idolize. It's idolatry. And they're actually creating the very world that they're worried about. It's incredible. It's so incredible how all this stuff happens. I have no idea where I am. I'm totally lost. I'm on some back street here. I'll keep walking. I must be close to something at some point here. Actually, I don't remember any of this. I'll try. Anyway, got a beautiful sunset going on here. Oh, and meanwhile, the Queen of Europe, Ursula von der Leyen, just came out and said, we're on the brink, if not even at the start, of another global health crisis. Here we go again.
We are on the brink, if not even at the start, of another global health crisis. And as a medical doctor by training, I'm appalled by the disinformation that threatens global progress on everything from measles to polio. And this is why today I can announce that the European Union will head a new global health resilience initiative.
Yeah, they're going to be doing it again. And in so many different ways. This is a total attack on humanity by basically a non-human, multidimensional entity, which you can call Satan or whatever you want to call. Has all kinds of different names throughout history. But the thing that's basically kept this matrix intact continues to just move on and push out. And your average person, and it's so smart. I don't think I came this way. It's so smart, like super smart, like beyond smart. Like you can't even imagine how smart. But it's artificial intelligence, and that's actually what it all is. And that's what Christoph Melchizedek talked about at Liber Poco. That's what Max Egan talked about. It was incredible. So if you want to know what's actually going on, check out the replays of Liber Poco. And I have no doubt they're going to push out some other kind of a hell emergency, but I've said this for a while. This one's actually going to be real in the sense that a lot of people are going to die. With the COVIDs, no one died because there was no COVIDs. But they killed millions or tens of millions with the lethal injections. So what the next one is, it'll probably be an energy weapon that will target the nanotech in certain people, and they'll start dropping. That could happen anytime. They've been talking about it a lot. And so don't fall for that one again. But it's going to be super hard. You're going to have to be connected physically as good as you can be, mentally as good as you can be, get out all those traumas. Spiritually as good as you can be, connected to get through the next few years. It's so incredible. We still have all these hell ministers just dropping. Here's a press conference from the Sweden hell minister.
Frågor som betyder mest för människors tilltro till vår gemensamma välfärd. Tack.
Tack för det. Och nu tror jag Jakob ska lära oss allt om paragraf 5-förordnanden. Eller hur, Jakob?
Ja, det tänker jag vi har i en särskild övning möjligen. Hälso- och sjukvården.
Sudden karma. I should mention too that actually going on today. I'm actually not on it as it's happening for the most part until my talk, but the Crypto Vigilante Summit is going on, fully focused on privacy coins. And that's going to be one of the most important ways that you can survive financially through all this. If you don't, you're probably going to lose everything. And I'm not joking. This is going to be epic. This is going to be so huge, everything that's going to be happening. You won't believe it. But if you're smart enough, you do all that work I was saying, and financially, if you start getting and really know and start using privacy coins, you'll have a chance to survive and actually even massively profit as it all happens. So by the time you see this, it'll be over. But you can get all the replays at tcvsummit.com. Bitcoin's still around 110,000. Gold's near all-time highs. Silver just hit, I think, an all-time high today. Those are our main holdings, by the way. But I really think it's the time for privacy coins. I think if people will really realize they need them now. Now, what happens in the next few years, if anyone's even going to be still alive, that's a whole other topic. But we'll see how it all plays out. I should mention, another great way to kind of stay alive through all this, especially physically and even mentally, is with the Tesla machine. And here's Darren. Yesterday, my son complained of neck pain from shadowboxing, tweaked it going too hard. I said to hop on the Tesla, in which he agreed, his second time using it. Used it for 6 minutes and asked him this morning how it felt. He said better. He then went to the MMA gym to work out some more, and he got back home. Asked how his neck felt. He admitted that the Tesla machine definitely helped. So that's a win in my book. He also mentioned he used the Assault bike, a stationary bike with a large fan, at the gym and was able to use the highest settings he's ever used. Can't say whether that was from the Tesla use or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if the healer, which is what he calls his Tesla machine, had something to do with it. Awesome stuff. So that's a pretty minor one today, but I thought it was interesting because so many athletes have been using it and it's getting them to do incredible things. Once like pro athletes or really high-end athletes find out about the Tesla, they're all going to need it. They won't be able to compete without it. It's going to be so interesting. But you can get that too, because you're in an even bigger competition than a sports ball game. You're in the final end stages of the apocalypse, in the Matrix, in your own Truman Show. So if you have the opportunity, I highly suggest and recommend that if you can do it, to become a member of the Tesla Club. You can go to tesla.club. It basically makes you superhuman. So while all this crazy stuff's going on, and all these people are all emotional and wanting to go to war over something that was a lie. Again, all wars start that way. And who starts them all the time? The same people. The same people who have been kicked out of like 100 countries 1,000 times. Do you understand yet why people did that in the past? And do you wonder at this point why people haven't done that yet? I'm not saying it's all Jews, but like Larry David says, it's many, not all, but many. Lots of parties going on. Most of these houses have parties. This is like a party place. I haven't gone to any of them. My wife and my kids go, and they're having a great time. While all this stuff's going on, but it's going to be an incredible time ahead. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. I don't even know where I am right now. I'm totally lost. But stay tuned because it's going to get very interesting now. You can tell they're ramping it up. You can just tell. And if you thought that was bad, like Charlie Kirk being executed live with blood gushing out of his neck, that's not even the beginning of what we're probably going to be seeing in the near future. This is going to get incredible and crazy. And so make sure you're ready for it. I would suggest getting the LibraPolka replays at librapolka.com so you can figure out how to do all the work. If you can get one and become a member of the Tesla Club, I highly recommend it. Just go to tesla.club. And and also subscribe to our newsletter, Dollar Vigilante. I'm actually writing that right now too. Like, I'm doing this video, I'm going out with the family, I'm walking up these hills. I'm going to go back and write all night for the Dawn Vigilante newsletter, and also maybe be even on a panel at the TCV Summit at like 2 in the morning my time. So that's the kind of stuff I'm doing. And most of the reason I can do all this stuff is because of the Tesla machine and the work I've done. So that's all the stuff I recommend you do as well. There's nothing actually to do outside of you. It's all inside of you. And when you make those changes, actually everything changes. And you realize none of this is what you think it is. So I think I'll leave it there. Maybe we'll go see if we can find the family somewhere. Oh, there's the little guy. Got back here, everyone else out at the clubs. But, I should mention, just before we finish, that we used that Tom MacDonald song about Charlie Kirk because it's very apropos for what we're talking about here today. But notice what he's doing there. He's calling basically for war, right? And who did he do a video with just recently? Mossad agent Ben Shapiro. He might not even know what he's doing, but he's actually trying to get this war thing going as well, whether he knows it or not. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, none of it's real. Do the work. And we're gonna go enjoy Mykonos.
Killed in cold blood for having a discussion, and liberals are celebrating murder like it's justice. You didn't kill a villain or the evil that it comes with. You killed a father and a husband. And I'm so tired of the left and all the wokery. We can't get along if you just kill us when we don't agree. Sniper rifle fire from a liberal that no one sees. Scared I might be next to die when I'm just buying groceries. Charlie, we'll make sure your children know that defending all our freedom is why you aren't coming home. I hope heaven has a window you can watch your children grow and hear your message echo from below. And we ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties. And you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men tried to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us, but good men die for the things that they say. And I can't just be quiet, so I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day.